Lord Brahma bowed down like a stick, and because Lord Brahma's complexion is golden, he appeared to be like a golden stick lying down before Lord Krishna. When one falls down before a superior, just like a stick, one's offering of obeisances is called dandavat. Danda means stick, and vat means like. It is not that one should simply say dandavat. Rather, one must fall down. Thus, Brahma fell down, touching his forehead to the lotus feet of Krishna, and his crying in ecstasy is to be regarded as an abhishek bathing ceremony of Krishna's lotus feet. He who appeared before Brahma as a human child was in fact the absolute truth, Param Parabrahman, Brahmiti Bhagavan, Bhagavan Veti, Bhagavan iti Sabhyate. Brahmiti Paramatmiti Bhagavan iti Sabhyate. The Supreme Lord is Narakriti, that is, he resembles a human being. It is not that he is four-armed Chaturbahu. Narayana is a Chaturbahu, but the Supreme Person resembles a human being. This is also confirmed in the Bible, where it is said that man was made in the image of God. Lord Rama saw that Krishna is his form as a cowherd boy, was Para Brahman, the root cause of everything, but was now appearing as a human child, loitering in Vrindavan with a morsel of food in his hand. Astonished, Lord Brahma hastily got down from his swan carrier and let his body fall to the ground. Usually, the demigods never touch the ground, but Lord Brahma, voluntarily giving up his prestige as a demigod, bowed down on the ground before Krishna. Although Brahma has one head in each direction, he voluntarily brought all his heads to the ground and touched Krishna's feet with the tips of his four helmets. Although his intelligence works is every although his intelligence works in every direction, he surrendered everything before the boy Krishna. It is mentioned that Brahma washed the feet of Krishna with his tears, and here the word Sujalai indicates that his tears were purified. As soon as bhakti is present, everything is purified. Sarvo padi vinir muktam. Therefore, Brahma crying was a form of bhakti, abu anubhava, a transformation of transcendental ecstatic love. Text 63. Rising and falling again and again at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna for a long time, Lord Brahma remembered over and over the Lord's greatness he had just seen. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, as stated in one prayer. Shrutim apare smritim itare bharat bharatam anye vajshantu bhava vita aham iha nandam vande yes yavinde param brahma. Let the others study the Vedas, Smriti, and Mahabharata, fearing material existence, but I shall worship Nanda Maharaja, in whose courtyard is growing the supreme Brahman. Nanda Maharaja is so great that the Param Brahman is crawling in his yard, and therefore I shall worship him. Padyavali 126. Brahma was falling down in ecstasy because of the presence of the Supreme Personality Godhead, who exactly resembled a human child. Brahma was naturally astonished. Therefore, with a faltering voice, he offered prayers, understanding that there that there was the Supreme Person. Text 64. Then, rising very gradually and wiping his two eyes, Lord Brahma looked up at Mukunda, Lord Brahma, his head bent low, his mind concentrated, and his body trembling. Very humbly began with faltering words to offer praises to Lord Krishna. Report by Srila Prabhupada. Rama, being very joyful, began to shed tears, and he washed the lotus feet of Krishna with his tears. Repeatedly, he fell and rose as he recalled the wonderful activities of the Lord. After repeating obeisances for a long time, Rama stood up and smeared his hands over his eyes. Called Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura comments that the world, I'm sorry, comments that the word Lochane indicates that with his two hands he wiped his two eyes on each of his four faces. Seeing the Lord before him, Brahma began to offer prayers with great humility, respect, and attention. Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports of the 10th canto, 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Stealing of the Boys and Calves by Lord Brahma. Okay, so that's the end of this book. We have the new book.
Oh, this is the first.
This is 10th canto, part 1.
Part one. Yeah, part two should be there, Maharaj, on the table.
Oh, should you? One second. This is the one. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much, Bill. All right,
Hare Krishna.
thank you. All right, and it says it's the preface. There's a preface. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. I offer my most respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, who is very dear to Lord Krishna on this earth, having taken shelter at His lotus feet. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschati Desatarine. I offer my most respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and who is powerfully describing the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and thus saving the fallen Western countries from impersonalism and voidism. Srimad Bhagavatam, with authorized translation and elaborate purports in the English language, is the great work of His Divine Grace, Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Astatara Sata Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, our beloved spiritual master. Our present publication is a humble attempt by his servant to complete his most cherished work of Srimad Bhagavatam, just as one may worship the holy Ganges River by offering Ganges water into the Ganges. Similarly, in our attempt to serve our spiritual master, we are offering to him that which he has given us. He has given to us. Srila Prabhupada came to America in 1965 at a critical moment in the history of America and the world in general. The story of Srila Prabhupada's arrival and his specific impact on world civilization, and especially Western civilization, has been brilliantly documented by Satsvarupa Dasa Goswami. From Satsvarupa Goswami's authorized biography of Srila Prabhupada called Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, the reader can fully understand Srila Prabhupada's purpose, desire, and mission in presenting Srimad Bhagavatam. Further, in this volume, he clearly states that this transcendental literature will provide a cultural revolution in the world, and that is now underway. I do not wish to be redundant by repeating what Srila Prabhupada has so eloquently stated in his preface, or that which has been so abundantly documented by Satsvarupa Goswami in his authorized biography. It is necessary to mention, however, that Srimad Bhagavatam is a complete transcendental liberated sound vibration coming from the spiritual world. And being absolute, it is not different from the absolute truth himself, Lord Sri Krishna. By understanding Srimad Bhagavatam consisting of 12 cantos, the reader acquires perfect knowledge by which he or she may live peacefully and progressively on the earth, attending to all material necessities and simultaneously achieving supreme spiritual liberation. As we have worked to prepare this and other volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam, our intention has always been to faithfully serve the lotus feet of our spiritual master, carefully trying to translate and comment exactly as he would have, thus preserving the unity and spiritual potency of this edition of Srimad Bhagavatam. In other words, by our strictly following the disciplic succession, continued to be throughout its volumes a liberated work free from material contamination and capable of elevating the reader to the kingdom of God. One method has been to faithfully follow the commentaries of previous acharyas and exercise a careful selectivity of material based on the example and mood of Srila Prabhupada. One may write transcendental literature only by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and the authorized, liberated spiritual masters coming in disciplic succession. Thus, we humbly fall at the lotus feet of the previous acharyas, offering special gratitude to the great commentators in the Bhagavatam, namely Srila Sridhara Swami, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. We also offer our obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Vishra Raghava, Srila Vira Raghavacharya, Srila Vijaya Dwaja Thakura, and Srila Vamsidhara Thakura, whose commentaries have also helped in this work. Additionally, we offer humble obeisances at the lotus feet of the great Acharya Srila Madhva, who has made innumerable learned comments on Srimad Bhagavatam. We further offer our humble obeisances at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and to all of his eternally liberated followers, headed by Srila Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, Gadadhara Prabhu, Srivasa Thakura, and the six Goswamis, namely Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Srila Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, Srila Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, and Srila Gopala Bhatta Goswami. Finally, we offer our most respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of the Absolute Truth, Shri Radha and Krishna, and humbly beg for their mercy so that this great work of Srimad Bhagavatam can be quickly finished. Srimad Bhagavatam is undoubtedly the most important book in the universe, and the sincere readers of Srimad Bhagavatam will undoubtedly achieve the highest perfection of life, Krishna consciousness. In conclusion, I again remind the reader that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the great work of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and that the present volume is the humble accepted of His devoted servants. Hare Krishna, Dayananda Das Goswami. Okay. Forward. We must know the present need of human society. And what is that need? Human society is no longer bound by geographical limits to particular countries or communities. Human society is broader than in the Middle Ages, and the world tendency is toward one state or one human society. The ideals of spiritual communism, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, are based more or less on the oneness of the entire human society, nay, of the entire energy of living beings. The need is felt by great thinkers to make this a successful ideology. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need in human society. It begins, therefore, with an aphorism of Vedanta philosophy, Janma Dhyasya Yata, to establish the ideal of a common cause. Human society at the present moment is not in the darkness of oblivion. It has made rapid progress in the fields of material comforts, education, and economic development through the entire world. But there is a pinprick somewhere in the social body at large, and therefore there are large scale quarrels, even over less important issues. There is need of a clue as to how humanity can become one piece, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Srimad Bhagavatam will fulfill this need, for it is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. Srimad Bhagavatam should be introduced also in the schools and colleges, where it is recommended by the great student devotee Prahlad Maharaj, in order to change the demoniac face of society. Komara acharet pragno dharmam bhagavatam iha adurlabam manasam janma tadapi aduruvam tadam. Bhagavatam 7.6.1. Disparity in human society is due to a lack of principles in a godless civilization. There is God, or the Almighty One, from whom everything emanates, by whom everything is maintained, and in whom everything is merged to rest. Material science has tried to find the ultimate source of creation very insufficiently, but it is a fact that there is one ultimate source of everything that be. This ultimate source is explained rationally and authoritatively in the beautiful Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental science not only for knowing the ultimate source of everything, but also for knowing our relation with Him and our duty toward perfection of this human society on the basis of this perfect knowledge. It is powerful reading matter in the Sanskrit language, and it is now rendered into English elaborately so that simply by a careful reading, one will know God perfectly well, so much so that the reader will be sufficiently educated to defend himself from the onslaught of atheists. Over and above this, the reader will be able to convert others to accepting God as a concrete principle. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the definition of the ultimate source. It is a bona fide commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by the same author, Srila Vyasadeva, and gradually it develops into 9 cantos up to the highest state of God realization. The only qualification one needs to study this great book of transcendental knowledge is to proceed step by step, cautiously, and not jump forward haphazardly as with an ordinary book. It should be gone through chapter by chapter, one after another. The reading matter is so arranged with the original Sanskrit text, its English alliteration, synonyms, translation, and purports, so that one is sure to become a God realized soul at the end of finishing the first 9 cantos. The 10th canto is distinct from the first 9 cantos because it deals directly with the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. One will be unable to capture the effects of the 10th canto without going through the 9 cantos. The book is complete in 12 cantos, each independent, but it is good for all to read them in small installments, one after another. I must admit my frailties in presenting Srimad Bhagavatam, but still I am hopeful of its good reception by the thinkers and leaders of society on the strength of the following statement of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.11 Tadvad Visargo Janataga Viplavo Yasmin Prati Slokam Abhagavati Advi Namani Anatasya Yaso Nikitani Yach Shinvati Gayanati Grinati Sadhava. On the other hand, the literature, which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a transcendental creation meant for bringing about a revolution in the impious life of a misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literature, even though irregularly composed, is heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Om Tat Sat A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Introduction. This Bhagavata Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.43. The timeless wisdom of India is expressed in the Vedas, ancient Sanskrit texts, and that upon all fields of human knowledge. Originally preserved through oral tradition, the Vedas were first put into writing 5,000 years ago by Srila Vyasadeva, the the literary incarnation of God. After compiling the Vedas, Vyasadeva set forth their essence in the aphorisms known as Vedanta Sutras. Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavata Purana, is Vyasadeva's commentary on his own Vedanta Sutra. It was written in the maturity of his spiritual life under the direction of Narada Maharaj, his spiritual master, referred to as the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature. Srimad Bhagavatam is the root. Srimad Bhagavatam is the most complete and authoritative exposition of Vedic knowledge. After compiling Bhagavatam, Vyasa imparted the synopsis of it to his son, the sage Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami subsequently recited the entire Bhagavatam to Maharaj Pariksit in an assembly of learned saints on the bank of the Ganges at Hastinapur, now Delhi. Maharaj Pariksit was the emperor of the world and was a great Rajarsi, saintly king. Having received a warning that he would die within a week, he renounced his entire kingdom and retired to the bank of the Ganges to fast until death and receive spiritual enlightenment. Excuse me. The Bhagavatam begins with Emperor Parikshit's sober inquiry to Sukadeva Goswami. You are the supreme master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons. and especially for one who is about to die. Please let me know what a man should hear, chant, remember, and worship, and also what he should not do. Please explain all this to me. Sukadeva Goswami, Sukadeva Goswami's answer to this question and numerous other questions posed by Maharaj Pariksit concerning everything from the nature of the self to the origin of the self, of the universe, I'm sorry, the origin of the universe, held the assembled sages in rapt attention, continuously for the 7 days leading up to the king's death. The sage Sita Goswami, who was present in that assembly, went Sukadeva Goswami first recited Srimad Bhagavatam, later repeated the Bhagavatam before a gathering of sages in the forest of Naimisharanya. Those sages concerned about the spiritual welfare of people in general had gathered to perform a long, continuous chain of sacrifices to counteract the degrading influence of the incipient age of Kali. In response to the sage's request that he speak the essence of Vedic wisdom, Sutta Goswami repeated from the memory of the entire 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, as spoken by Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaja Pariksit. The reader of Srimad Bhagavatam hears Sutta Goswami relate the questions of Maharaj Pariksit and the answers of Sukadeva Goswami. Also, Sutta Goswami sometimes responds directly to questions put by Sonaka Rishi, the spokesperson for the sages gathered at Naimisharanya. One, therefore, simultaneously hears two dialogues, very important. One being Maharaj Pariksit and Sukadeva Goswami on the bank of the Ganges, and another at the Namasharanya between Sutta Goswami and the sages at Naimisharanya forest, headed by Sonaka Rishi. Furthermore, while instructing King Pariksit, Sukadeva Goswami often relates historical episodes and gives accounts of lengthy philosophical discussions between two great souls, Narada and Narada Muni and Vyasa Deva. With this understanding of history of the Bhagavatam, the reader will easily be able to follow its intermingling of dialogues and events from various sources. Since philosophical wisdom, not chronological order, is most important in the text, one need only be attentive to the subject matter of the Srimad Bhagavatam to appreciate fully the profound message. The translators of this edition compare the Bhagavatam to sugar candy. Wherever you taste it, you will find it equally sweet and relishable. Therefore, to taste the sweetness of the Bhagavatam, one may begin by reading any of its volumes. After such an introductory taste, however, the serious reader is best advised to go back to the first canto and then proceed through the Bhagavatam canto after canto in this natural order. This edition of the Bhagavad Gita is the first complete English translation of the important text with an elaborate commentary, and it is the first widely available to the English-speaking public. The first 12 volumes, Canto 1 through Canto 10, Part 1, are the product of the scholarly and devotional effort of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder, Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and the world's most distinguished teacher of Indian religious and philosophical thought. Srila Prabhupada began his Srimad Bhagavatam in mid 1962 in Vrindavana, India, the land most sacred to Lord Krishna, with no assistance and limited funds, but with an abundance of devotion and determination. He was able to publish the first canto, then in 3 volumes, by early 1965. After coming to the United States later that year, Srila Prabhupada continued his commentated translation of the Bhagavatam, and over the next 12 years, while developing his growing Krishna consciousness movement and traveling incessantly, he produced 27 more volumes. These were all edited, illustrated, typeset, proofread, and indexed by his disciples, members of the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, BBT. Throughout all of these volumes, totaling 12 in the present edition, Srila Prabhupada's pure devotion to Lord Krishna, his consummate Sanskrit scholarship, and his intimate familiarity with Vedic culture and thought, and with modern life combined, to reveal to the Western reader a magnificent exposition of this important classic. After Srila Prabhupada's departure from this world in 1977, his monumental work of translating and commenting on Srimad Bhagavatam was continued by his disciples, headed by Hridayananda Dasa Goswami, Gopi Paranandana Dasa Adhikara, and Dravida Dasa Brahmachari, all seasoned BBT workers, relying on the same Sanskrit editions of Srimad Bhagavatam that Srila Prabhupada had used. Hridayananda Das Goswami and Gopi Parananda Dasa translated the Sanskrit text and added commentary. Then they turned over the manuscript to Dravida Dasa for final editing and production. In this way, including 6 volumes were produced. Readers will find this work of value for many reasons. For those interested in classical roots of Indian civilization, it serves as a vast, detailed reservoir of information on virtually every one of its aspects. For students of comparative philosophy and religion, the Bhagavatam offers a penetrating view into the meaning of India's profound spiritual heritage. To sociologists and anthropologists, the Bhagavatam reveals the practical workings of a peaceful, prosperous, and scientifically organized Vedic culture, whose institutions were integrated onto the basis of a highly developed spiritual worldview. Students of literature will discover the Bhagavatam to be a masterpiece of majestic poetry. For students of psychology, the text provides important perspectives on the nature of consciousness, human behavior, and the philosophical study of identity. Finally, to those seeking spiritual insight, finally, to those seeking spiritual insight, the Bhagavatam offers simple and practical guidance for attainment of the highest self-realization, self-knowledge. and realization of the absolute truth. The entire multi-volume text presented by Bhaktivedanta Book Trust promises to occupy a significant place in the intellectual, cultural, and spiritual life of modern man for a long time to come. The publishers. Greatest pictures of Prabhupada, picture of pastimes of Krishna, different pastimes. There's some text also of each pastime. Let's see what it says. Second. With his mind fully concentrated and his body trembling, Lord Brahma very humbly began offering praise to Lord Krishna with faltering words. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.13.64. As the ass demons attacked, Krishna and Balaram easily seized them one after another by the hind legs, whirled them around, and threw them into the tops of the palm trees. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.15.37. These are the paintings of devotees of these pastimes. 5,000 years ago, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, descended to earth in his original spiritual form and displayed his transcendental pastimes with his associates. Here, Lord Krishna, dressed in yellow, his brother Balaram, and their cowherd friends, entered the Vrindavana forest with their cows. The great sage Sukadeva Goswami said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead looked over the forest with which resounded with the charming sounds of bees, animals, and birds, and which was enhanced by a lake whose clear water just resembled the minds of great souls, and by a breeze carrying the fragrance of hundreds petaled lotuses. Seeing all this, Lord Krishna decided to enjoy the auspicious atmosphere. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.15.2-3. Seeing the acute distress the residents of Gokula were feeling on account of their love for him, meaning Krishna, Lord Krishna rose up from the bonds of the Kaliya serpent and began to dance on his flutes. The Lord's wonderful, powerful dancing trampled and broke all the serpent's 1,000 hoods. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.16.26. Wow. These are beautiful
paintings.
Beautiful
Paintings.
Pictures of these pastimes. The residents of Vrindavana told Krishna, if this deadly fire overcomes us, we will be separated from your lotus feet, and this is unbearable for us. Therefore, just so that we can go on serving your lotus feet, please protect us. Seeing his devotees so disturbed, Shri Krishna, the infinite Lord of the universe and possessor of infinite power, then swallowed the terrible forest fire. So these are beautiful
Paintings.
paintings of these pastimes. When Lord Krishna convinced his father, Nanda Maharaj, to forego the sacrifice to Indra and instead use the collected paraphernalia to worship Govardhan Hill, the Brahmanas and the cows, Indra became furious and sent the devastating Samvartaka clouds to harass the residents of Raja with downpours of rain and hail. The cowherd community was very disturbed by the storm and approached Krishna for shelter. Understanding that this trouble was Indra's work, Krishna decided to smash the demigod's false prestige to pieces, and thus he lifted Govardhan Hill with one hand. He then invited the entire cowherd community to take shelter in the dry space beneath the mountain. For uh, successive days, he held up the hill until Indra finally understood Krishna's mystic power and ordered the clouds to withdraw. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.25.1 to 23. And these are beautiful paintings by our uh, devotees, and they've become so an expert in painting that these illustrations are absolutely wonderful. Thus, smashed by Balarama's fist, Columba's head immediately cracked open. The demon vomited blood from his mouth and lost all consciousness, and then, with a great noise, he fell lifeless on the ground like a mountain devastated by Indra. Uh, uh, Bhagavatam 10.18.24-30. These are all wonderful illustrations with the purports. When the gopis saw that their dearest Krishna had returned to them, they became ecstatic, and out of their affection for him, their eyes bloomed wide. It was as if the air of the life had re-entered their bodies. Beautiful, beautiful illustrations. And this one is the best. In the festive Rasa dance, Lord Krishna expanded himself and entered between each pair of gopis as the master of mystic power. Places his arms around their necks. Each girl thought he was standing next to her alone. The demigods and their wives were overwhelmed with eagerness to witness the Rasa dance, and they soon crowded the sky with their hundreds of celestial planes, kettledrums, then resounding, or, and soon crowded the sky with their hundreds of celestial airplanes. Kettledrums then resounded in the sky while flowers rained down, and the chief Gandharvas and their wives sang Lord Krishna's spotless glories. A tumultuous sound arose from the armlets, ankle bells, and waist belts of the gopis as they sported with their beloved Krishna in the circle of the Rasa dance. In the midst of the dancing gopis, Lord Krishna appeared most brilliant, like an exquisite sapphire in the midst of golden ornaments. 10:33, 39. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:33:19. So that's a beautiful painting of the Rasa Leela dance. Increasingly agitated by ecstasy at seeing the Lord's footprints, his bodily hairs standed on end because of his pure love, and his eyes filled with tears. Akura jumped down from his chariot and began rolling about among those footprints, exclaiming, "Ah, this is the dust of my master's feet." Srimad Bhagavatam 10.38.1-26. Again, these beautiful paintings by our devotee painters, and who have developed the the arts of painting. Wonderful descriptions and painting of the pastimes. Next, Krishna and Balarama approached the city of Mathura, 1041.19-23. And last but not least, Lord Krishna straddled Kamsa and began to strike him over and over again. Simply from the blows of Krishna's fist, Kamsa lost his life. Text 10 of chapter 10, point 44.37-38. Okay, now chapter 14. Rama's prayers to Lord Krishna. This chapter describes the prayers Rama offered to Lord Krishna, who is also known as Nandana. For his satisfaction, Rama first praised the beauty of the Lord's transcendental limbs, and then declared that his original identity of sweetness is even more difficult to comprehend than his opulence. Only by the devotional process of hearing and chanting transcendental sounds received from Vedic authorities can one realize the personality of Godhead. It is fruitless to try to realize God through processes outside the scope of Vedic authority. The mystery of the personality of Godhead, who is the reservoir of unlimited spiritual qualities, is inconceivable. It is even more difficult to understand than the impersonal Supreme. Thus, only by the mercy of God can one understand his glories. Finally, realizing this, Rama repeatedly condemned his own actions and recognized that Lord Sri Krishna, the ultimate shelter of the universe, is Brahma's own father, the original Narayana. In this way of Brahma begging the Lord's forgiveness. In this way, Brahma begged the Lord's forgiveness. Brahma then glorified the inconceivable opulence of the personality of Godhead and described the ways in which Brahma and Shiva differ from Lord Vishnu. The reason for the Supreme Lord's appearance in various species of demigods, animals, and so on, the eternal nature of the pastimes of the personality of Godhead, and the temporality of the material world. Temporality of the material world. Thank you. By knowing the Supreme Personality in truth, the individual spirit soul can achieve liberation from bondage. In actuality, however, both liberation and bondage are unreal, for it is only from the living entity's conditioned outlook that his bondage and liberation are produced. Thinking the personal form of Lord Krishna illusory, thinking the personal form of Lord Krishna illusory, fools reject his lotus feet and look elsewhere to find the Supreme Self. But the futility of their search is the obvious proof of their foolishness. There is simply no way to understand the truth of the personality of Godhead without his mercy. Having established this conclusion, Lord Brahma analyzed the great good fortune of the residents of Braja and then personally prayed to be born there even as a blade of grass, a bush, or a creeper. Instead, the homes of the residents of Vrindavana are not prisons of mutual existence, but rather abodes envied by the Gyanis and Yogis. On the other hand, any home without a connection with Lord Krishna is in fact a prison cell of material existence. Finally, Rama offered his whole self at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and praising him again and again, circumambulated him and took his leave. Lord Krishna then gathered the animals Rama stole and led them to the place on the Yamuna's bank where the cowherd boys had been taking lunch. The same friends who had been present before were sitting there now, but the power of Krishna's illusory energy,
By
by the power of Krishna's illusory energy, they were not at all aware of what had happened. Thus, when Krishna arrived with the calves, the boys told him, "You returned, you, you've returned so quickly. Very good. As long as you were gone, we couldn't take even a morsel of food. So come and eat." Laughing at the words of the cowherd boys, Lord Krishna began taking his meal in their company. While eating, Krishna pointed out to his young friends the skin of the python, and the boys thought, Krishna has just now killed this terrible snake. Indeed, later they related to the residents of Vrindavana an incident of Krishna's killing the Aga demon. In this way, the cowherd boys described pastimes that Lord Krishna had performed in his Balya age, 105, even though his Oganda age, 6 to 10, had begun. Sukadeva Goswami concludes this chapter by explaining how the gopis loved Lord Krishna even more than they loved their own sons. Text number 1. Lord Brahma said, "My dear Lord, you are the only worshipable Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore I offer my humble obeisances and prayers just to please you, O Son of the King of the Cowherds. Your transcendental body is dark blue like a new blouse. Your garment is brilliant like lightning, and the beauty of your face is enchanted by your kunja earrings and the peacock feather on your head. Wearing garlands of various forest flowers and leaves, and equipped with a herding stick, a buffalo horn, and a flute, you stand beautifully with a morsel of serene, I'm sorry. You stand beautifully with a morsel of food in your hands. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the previous chapter, Brahma, the creator of the universe, tried to bewilder the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, by stealing his cowherd boys and calves. But by a slight exhibition of Krishna's own mystic potency, Brahma himself was completely bewildered. And now, with great humility and devotion, he offered his humble obeisances and prayers unto the Lord. The word
Kavala.
the word Kavala, in this verse refers to a morsel of rice mixed with yogurt that Krishna held in his left hand. According to Sanatana Goswami, the Lord held a cow herding stick and a buffalo horn pressed under his left arm. and his flute was placed under his belt. Beyond beautiful young Krishna, decorated with multicolored forest minerals, exhibited opulences far greater than those of Vaikuntha. Although Brahma had seen innumerable four-armed forms of the Lord, he now surrendered unto the lotus feet of the two-armed form of Krishna, who appeared as the son of Nanda Maharaj. Brahma offered his prayers to that form. Text number 2. My dear Lord, neither I nor anyone else can estimate the potency of this transcendental body of yours, which has shown such mercy to me, and which appears just to fulfill the desires of your pure devotees. Although my mind is completely withdrawn from material affairs, I cannot understand your personal form. How then could I possibly understand the happiness you experience within yourself? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, chapter 14, Srila Prabhupada explained that in the present verse, Lord Brahma expressed the following prayerful sentiment. Your appearance as a cowherd child is for the benefit of the devotee. And although I have committed offenses at your lotus feet by stealing away your cows, boys, and calves, I can understand that you are now showing me your mercy. That is your transcendental quality. You are unaffectionate.
Very affectionate.
You are very affectionate toward your devotees. Yet, in spite of your affection for me, I cannot estimate the potency of your bodily activities. It is to be understood that when I, Lord Brahma, the Supreme Personality of this universe, cannot estimate the childlike body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then what to speak of childlike of others? And if I cannot estimate the spiritual potency of your childlike body, then what can I understand about your transcendental pastimes? Therefore, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, anyone who can understand a little of the transcendental pastimes, appearance and disappearance of the Lord, immediately becomes eligible to enter the kingdom of God after quitting the material body. This statement is confirmed in the Vedas, and it is stated simply. By understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can overcome the chain of repeated births and deaths. I therefore recommend that people should not try to understand you by their speculative knowledge. When Lord Brahma disrespected the supreme status of the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna first bewildered him by exhibiting the Lord's own transcendental power. Then, having humbled his devotee Brahma, Krishna gave his personal
Audience.
audience. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Lord Krishna's transcendental body can also function through the agency of his plenary expansion, called Vishnu Tattva, as stated by Brahma himself in the Brahma Samhita 5.32, Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. This verse indicates not only that the Lord can perform any bodily function with any of his limbs, but also that he can see through the eyes of his Vedic expansions, or indeed through the eyes of living entities. And similarly, that he can hear through the ears of any Vishnu Jiva expansion, and he can hear through the ears of any Vishnu or Jiva expansion. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out that although the Lord can perform any function with any one of his senses in his transcendental pastimes as Sri Krishna, he generally sees with his eyes, touches with his hands, hears with his hears with his ears, and so on. Thus, he behaves like the most beautiful and charming young Catholic boy. The Vedas knowledge, the Vedic knowledge, expands from Lord Brahma, who is described in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam as Adi Kavi, the primeval Vedic scholar. Yet, Brahma could not understand the transcendental body of Lord Krishna because it is beyond the reach of ordinary Vedic knowledge. Among all the transcendental forms of the Lord, the two-armed form of Govinda, Krishna, is original and supreme. Thus, Lord Govinda pastimes of stealing butter, drinking the gopis' breast milk, tending the calves, playing with flute, and playing childhood sports are extraordinary, even in comparison with the activity of the Lord's Vishnu expansion.
Maharaj, we have time.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll stop right there and pick it up with text 3 tomorrow. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Are there any questions or comments? Our takeaway for today. Thus, Lord Govinda's pastimes of stealing butter, drinking the gopis' breast milk, tending the calves, playing his flute, and playing childhood sports are extraordinary, even in comparison with the activities of Lord Vishnu's expansions. Wow, there it is. Our takeaway for today. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any questions or comments? Yeah, so it says the Vedic knowledge expands from Lord Brahma, who is described in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam as Adhikavi, the primeval Vedic scholar. Yet, Brahma could not understand the transcendental body of Lord Krishna because it is beyond the reach of ordinary Vedic knowledge. Among all the transcendental forms of the Lord, the two-armed form of Govinda is original and supreme. Thus, individual Govinda's, thus, Lord Govinda's pastimes of stealing butter, drinking the gopis' breast milk, tending the calves, playing his flute, and playing childhood sports are extraordinary, even in comparison with the activities of Lord Vishnu's expansions. Okay, yeah, those pastimes are extraordinarily, and they're extraordinary. Okay, I think we'll stop there. Are there any questions or comments? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama.
Hare Hare.
Thank you very much, my very dear devotees. And we will continue hearing Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna tomorrow from text 3.
2 more.
Huh?
2.
What's that?
Yeah,
3,
3.
3.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
One small question. In the purport, in the beginning of this purport, the first line, it says, in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Volume 1, Chapter
1.
14.
Okay, go ahead.
The text 2 purport.
What page are you on?
Text 2, Maharaj.
All right, go ahead.
Text 2 purport. The first line of the purport.
Yeah.
It says, in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Volume 1, Chapter 14, Srila Prabhupada explains that in the present verse, Lord Brahma expressed the following prayerful sentiment.
No, following prayerful sentiments.
Yes. So my question is where it says Srila Prabhupada explains. So Prabhupada is writing, right, this purport. So Prabhupada is writing again like Srila Prabhupada explains.
Yes. Srila Prabhupada explained that in the present verse, Lord Brahma expressed the following prayerful sentiments.
So,
yeah.
So this purport is also written by Prabhupada, so that previous one also. So my question is like.
Yeah, Prabhupada speaking.
Okay. For himself, Prabhupada saying, Prabhupada has explained.
Yeah, he's speaking to Krishna. He says, your appearance as a cowherd child is for the benefit of the devotees. And although I have committed offenses at your lotus feet by stealing away your cows, boys, and calves, I can understand that you are now showing me your mercy. That is your transcendental quality. You are very affectionate toward your devotees. Yet, in spite of your affection for me, I cannot estimate the potency of your bodily activities. It is to be understood that when I, Lord Brahma, the Supreme Personality of this universe, cannot estimate the childlike body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then what to speak of others? And if I cannot estimate the spiritual potency of your childlike body, then what can I understand about your transcendental pastime? Therefore, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, anyone who can understand a little of the transcendental pastimes, appearance, and disappearance of the Lord immediately becomes eligible to enter the kingdom of God after quitting the material body. This statement is confirmed in the Vedas, and it is stated simply. By understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can overcome the chain of repeated birth and death. I therefore recommend that people should not try to understand you by their speculative knowledge. When Brahma disrespected the supreme status of the Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna first bewildered him by exhibiting the Lord's own transcendental power. Then, having humbled his devotee Brahma, Krishna gave him his personal audience. Okay. So,
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
yes.
It looks like Prabhupada wrote until chapter 13.
Okay.
Until Canto 10, chapter 13 is what Srila Prabhupada has given us purports for. When he left the body, he was in chapter 14.
Okay.
So from chapter 14 onwards, his disciples.
It's what?
His disciples finished.
Yes.
So only till chapter 13, Srila Prabhupada has written the purports for this.
Yes.
So that's why in the first line of that purport says Srila Prabhupada has written. So we are in chapter 14 now. So now onwards, it's all Srila Prabhupada's disciples who have written purports.
Canto 10, chapter 14, and text 3.
Yes.
So Srila
From
Prabhupada,
there, it's all Prabhupada.
disciples.
Okay.
So he was working on Canto 10, chapter 14, Brahma Vimochan Leela at the time of his departure.
Okay. Thank you for that.
What was completed by his disciples? Canto 10, chapter 14 onwards.
Okay.
Till the end of Bhagavad.
Okay, well, that's what we're reading.
Yeah, and the main disciples who contributed were His Holiness Hridayananda Dasa Goswami, Gopi Paranadhana Dasa, and other BBT Sanskrit scholars working collaboratively.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you very much, my dear devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Haribol.
Yes, Maharaj, my question is, after Brahma saw the test that he failed for hiding the coward boys and for 1 year, and then begged forgiveness from Krishna, did Krishna show his universal form to Lord Brahma? I have read that in the past. I'm not sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'll have to find out. I'm not sure either. Let's see. We didn't read that here. It's something else you read. Is that right?
Yeah, I've read it in the past. That's why I wanted to clear that. I was gonna ask you.
Okay, well, that's your homework for tomorrow. You can find out where you can tell us where you read it.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay, over Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We are so lucky to have so much information. Just imagine all the work Prabhupada and his devotees have done. And the artists, beautiful artwork. Fantastic. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Okay, so our takeaway. The Vedic knowledge experienced from Lord Brahma, who is described in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam as Adi Kavi, the primeval Vedic scholar. Yet, Brahma could not understand the transcendental body of Lord Krishna, because it is beyond the reach of ordinary Vedic knowledge. Among all the transcendental forms of the Lord, the two-armed form of Govinda, Krishna, is original and supreme. Thus, Lord Govinda's pastimes of stealing butter, drinking the gopis' breast milk, tending the calves, playing his flute, and playing childhood sports are extraordinary, even in comparison with the activities of the Lord's Vishnu expansions. So that those childhood pastimes are very, very special and full of nectar. Haribol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much, my dear devotees. Have a good day today. And
Oh, Hare Krishna Maharaj, I read that on krishnabook.com. It's known as Brahma Vimohan Leela.
okay, yeah,
Yeah. So that's where I had read it. Okay. Just wanted to let you know. Thank you.
very much. Thank you very, very much.
Thank
Okay, all glories to Prabhupada. And we'll pick it up again tomorrow from text 3. Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Krishna, Prabhupada, ki jai.